Took a half an hour to get this thing set up. Hey, guys, welcome back to another episode of Dirt Diamond Sports Talk. I'm Ryan, as always, here with my man, Wally. Tonight, we're going to break down an important series win over Cleveland, including Tatsuya Imai's dominant rebound, Kaiwei Tong's surprising response, an offense that looked a little bit more focused and situationally aware, some strong decisions from Joe Espada. We're going to touch a little bit on how the Astros have been using the ABS system to their advantage. A little bit of roster shuffling involving Brian Abreu and Logan Van Way. And then we'll probably touch a little bit on tonight's pretty dull loss in Toronto that probably should have ended up a lot worse than a 4-2 game. Before we jump into this, guys, make sure to give us a like and hit subscribe in your favorite podcast app. We're live right now on Twitter, X, and we are live on YouTube. Wally, the Astros are no longer just putting together good games. I think they're finally beginning to stack series here and being only 5 games under 500 now. Tonight's games, doesn't really give a
They're
lot of
back.
extra confidence, but
I think, they're back to 6 tonight. But
well, with
what?
tonight's loss, yeah.
Yeah, they've won 4 of the last 5 series. Over that time, they're 9-6. They've won 16. They're 16 and or 26-16 over or 16 and what are they now? 16-11.
16
So
and
they're still
11 stretch. Yes.
Yeah, 16 and 11 stretch, which is okay. You spread it out throughout the entire season, and it works out okay.
Sorry,
They've got
17
a
and
lot
11. They won 2 against
17,
Cleveland,
11.
so that's 17 and 11. Mhm. Well, I guess tonight now it's 17 and 12. Sorry, we're just going to do the math here right on the show live in front of you guys. You'd think we'd be more prepared for this, but
as it is right now, they're 3.5 out, depending on how Seattle does. Does Seattle play tonight? I don't think they do. No, they don't play tonight.
Okay.
But they've made up 2 games in the last 10 against Seattle. We can make up a game a week by the 4th of July. You got a chance to be tied depending on what Seattle does. We keep on waiting for Seattle to take off, but they haven't yet. At some point in time, somebody's going to have to take them because they're giving everybody a chance to do it.
Yep. Yeah, I think this the way that the AL West is playing out. I mean, heck, even just the American League period. There's very few teams in the American League that are really saying and stepping up and saying we're ready to run with it. The series, the math and the way that this series played out was really interesting because Cleveland and Houston both scored 12 runs in the series.
Right.
So they won the series despite an even run differential. So, I mean, that tells you a little bit about how the Astros and the sequence and the way that they're putting together wins. Sadly, it also tells you, and it speaks a lot to how they're putting together the losses. So we look at this series particular starting on Friday. Imai's performance is kind of one that we've been waiting for. Really, 6 innings, 11 strikeouts. He didn't walk anybody. 20 swinging strikes. He had 14 whiffs on the slider alone. The Astros won this game 9-3, with Imai, retiring the final 11 hitters that he faced. This game showed a little bit something that encouraged me about Imai is that slider dominance. So those 14 whiffs on his slider alone. But that was kind of his secondary pitch for the most part. If you look at the kind of the way that he was using that splitter, man, he was given hitters just another speed and movement profile to that process. And I think that was really the recipe to his success Friday night.
Yeah, he was really good. You talk about 6 hits. The no walks is what got me, which led to a 14, little under 15 pitches in the inning, 64% strikes with a one whip. This series was one where we talk about so many times in baseball of 162 games. You're going to win 60, you're going to lose 60. And it's what you do with the 42 in the middle that make a difference. They were going to
Yep.
win that first game no matter what. They lost that second game no matter what. Spencer just wasn't very good.
Yeah.
Um, he, and then you get to the third game with Kai Tung, who was just pathetic the last time out, was really good this last time.
Really good.
Um, yeah, Joe cut him off at 83 pitches. He had that he threw less than 14 pitches an inning. In the old, you figure in previous years you might have sent him out another inning, but I think Espada looked at that and said, after his previous performances, let's take him out while he's got a good feeling about how he was pitching at an 083 whip, 13.8 pitches per inning, 66% strikes, two-thirds strikes.
Hmm.
Then Okert comes in, a little bit inefficient, 21 pitches on the inning. Brian King comes in, and then Hader comes in. You lock down a 2-1 series win.
Yep. Yeah, I think that was, that was really key in looking at the way that that Kai Wei Tong, I don't know, I almost feel like how he was managed that game. And I don't mean by Joe, I mean Christian Vasquez. Like this game had a catcher's fingerprints all over it, in my opinion. I think the pitch selection, the tempo, he was really reading the swings and kind of understanding how to roll this pitch sequence. And I felt like it was probably Vasquez because knowing when to abandon a pitch, he abandoned that four seamer in ways that he has never really done in the season, and really started sequencing back through that lineup those different off speed pitches. And to me, that really shows kind of a veteran move on the part of Vasquez, who normally doesn't catch Kaiway Town.
Yeah, and you think that you think that Diaz is ever going to get to that point where he manages pitchers that well? I mean, Vasquez has been doing this for 10, 12 years now, and
Yeah, I mean,
sometimes
this is
we forget that Diaz is still in his fourth year.
yeah, he's young. I think that yeah, there's a lot of talk about how he was or wasn't mentored under Maldi. And so I think that none of us will ever really truly know the answer to that. I think that a guy that caught behind and beside Martin Maldonado, which, all jokes aside about the guy and intangibles, is by far one of the most cerebral catchers. I mean, he didn't have any other he didn't have any other skills or abilities on the field, really.
Right.
He was one of the more cerebral pitchers that we've probably seen in the last 8 or 10 years of Major League Baseball. And I think Christian Vasquez can kind of be fit into that box a little bit as well, knowing that veteran leadership. He's had World Series, no hitters. He's done a lot from behind the plate quietly and under the radar. He's probably one of those guys. So Yonder Diaz being able to do what he's done beside Maldonado and now Vasquez, I would hope that he's really being mentored and guided through this part of his career, and could be that guy. Uh, Word is that Diaz is a really smart guy, and so I think that if Diaz can really pick that up and understand and learn that aspect of the game to the point of being, even partially as good as Maldonado or Vasquez, and he figures out how to overcome some of his offensive woes and be the power hitter that he is. This guy's he's got the opportunity. He's got
Yeah,
the
he does.
tools to be an incredible catcher and make a name for himself in the league.
Yeah, Vasquez has hit 175 or so over the last month or so, so he really is turning into a Maldonado type.
Hmm.
Um, Diaz is from a hitting standpoint still lacks discipline tonight. He had a chance to really break the game open in the first inning. Cease threw him a slider. He swung at it, threw him another slider, hit into a double play, and it just rolled over on it. Just an
Who didn't
easy
hit into a
Taylor.
double play tonight, though? Good
Well, but
Lord.
the thing is, you got one out. Your job, and you've already scored a run. Your job is to get another run. Nothing short of a note from your corner, and you get that run home.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you hit the ball, and you hit the ball to the in the air to the right side. Wait for a certain pitch. Now, if he gets two strikes on you, all bets are off. But that was one strike. If I'm just saying, look for a high outside fastball that you can pop to right field, for example.
Hmm. Hmm.
Of course, Cease is understanding that's what he wants to do too, and Cease wiggled off the hook several times tonight. Both pitchers were were pretty good. Or well, Cease was really good. Hunter was not good.
No.
Hunter threw
Hunter
83 pitches.
was lucky tonight.
Hunter threw 83 pitches in 3 innings, and he's lucky he wasn't down seven.
Yes, man, the traffic that he had to fight through tonight was insane. I mean, everybody had to fight through traffic tonight.
To Hunter's credit, he only got through 3 innings, but he didn't give up the big number.
That's true. Yeah, it could have very easily turned into, like you said, a 7-run game.
But when you look at, this is just one of those games, though. This you fortunate you were going to lose it. You're fortunate to be in where you were. Let's look back a little bit at a little bit lighter note about how we were in the series last time. It's kind of an odd series with 12 runs. Four runs a game. Yeah, that's kind of break even. You had Pena hit 333 with a 1250 slug. You had Altuve 500 with a no, Paredes 500 with a 1000 OPS. Jose hit 333. Cam Yiner hit 286. Not that much of a slug, but the thing that I was looking at this series as compared to the Tiger series before, the numbers were almost exactly the same
Mm,
on the offense.
hmm.
In the offense, you hit 253, 424 slug, 739 OPS. With the Guardians, 250, 417 with a 711 slug. Not too far, not too far, not too much of a difference. And they won 2 out of 3 on each of them. Just kind of an oh by the way, we got a series win in both of them.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think when you start seeing some of these statistical consistencies, that's when you kind of really start looking and say, okay, how does this play out? If we were to continue to play ball this way, and these are statistical consistencies that keep showing up series after series, now you've got a better picture of kind of where this team is going and potentially what this team can accomplish looking down through the rest of the schedule and say, okay, Cleveland is this type of team, the Blue Jays are this type of team, Detroit is this type of team. When we're going up against these type of teams, and the way that you look at those matchups and you see some of those statistical consistencies in the way that they are performing against pitchers like Cease, for example, it kind of gives us a little bit better outlook as to what to expect for the remainder of the season. And perhaps this is where Dana and Joe and maybe Crane are having conversations about, and they're looking at some of these consistencies, are looking at some of the outlook here and saying, hey guys, if we continue to perform between these two margins here and in this strata, we can still make hay. And perhaps this is where some of that conversation of, we're a couple pieces away from really making a significant improvement to this team and being a team that can compete.
Well, it doesn't it, but one thing the Astros still have really tightened up on is you look at the bullpen since late
Yep.
April. You know, it's a
Yep.
3.22 ERA since late April, and very few bullpens are going to go 3.22 over an extended period of time. That
Yeah.
you've gotten, and especially with Hader coming back, you can really tell they were talking about it on the game tonight that TK and Blum that everybody knows their roles.
And that's, since Hader's come back, it seems though that's the case. Now we did get the news today about Abreu going on the restricted list, and that's why we saw Van Way show up and struggle tonight, which I don't think that anybody really saw that as a surprise necessarily. There's some speculation around Abreu's move to the restricted list because the Astros were going out of the country. We won't speculate. That's not really what we're here to do. But I mean, was Van Way the only choice? I guess really at the time because of the way that everything's playing out in Sugarland. Maybe I don't know that he was the best choice to bring in and throw out there. Guy with a 6 ERA in AAA.
Yeah, you and I are we're not really want to go openly criticize Joe because we don't know what's going on in the back. But when
Right.
you look at who pitched over the last couple of days, um, Okert Okert pitched twice in the last series. He threw 3 innings in the last series. Uh, Burrows was out there. Nate Pearson pitched an inning on Saturday. Um, Blue ball had already been used. Abreu was not available. They used Brian King. I'm a little surprised they didn't throw Nate Pearson out there.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at who had been used and who hadn't been used. Um, if you're going to, I think they're going to put Burrows back in the rotation, so they didn't want to use him. So it looks like your choices were Pearson or Van Way.
Yeah. More than
And
likely.
if I ran the circus, there's a reason Van Way's on the Sugarland shuttle.
Yeah. I mean, look, his AAA numbers: a 6.2 ERA and a 1.66 WHIP in 24 and 2/3 innings at AAA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's let's just call it what it is.
Let's just call it what it is, man. I think
Logan,
that
Logan, I'm lucky that I'm not DFA
yeah.
Van Way.
Yeah. Oh man, it's wild. It's wild. I was doing some digging today, Wally, and tonight was a pretty good example. There was quite a few challenges happened in tonight's game, and I went and did a little bit of digging, and I was just kind of curious as how the Astros stacked up against um, against the league in challenges because it seems like, and without doing any specific statistics or running any of your numbers, it really kind of seems as though the Astros do a pretty darn good job with the way that they're handling their challenges. And lo and behold, the Astros have the second best success rate in all of Major League Baseball at 56% winning challenge rate. Which one thing that really surprised me here has created an estimated offensive run value of approximately 1.8 runs over the course of the season so far.
Interesting. I didn't
Yeah.
know that. It's interesting who's really good at it. Jose Altuve's really good.
Yep.
Yiner had 3 challenges in a row early, and
Yep.
I think he actually got the Toronto thinking about Bill Miller, who is the umpire behind the plate, not having a good zone. And in his own way, maybe he baited them to challenging too, and they were out of challenges by the third inning. I thought it
Yeah.
was going to come back to bite them, but it didn't because, quite frankly, the Astros couldn't hit their way out of a paper bag tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. Isaac Paredes is the most successful on the team as a hitter. And then you have Altuve, which Altuve is so funny. I think, with Altuve and his strategy, I mean, his small strike zone, it gives him, he's so uniquely qualified because he knows his strike zone, and when a pitch misses that small little box, he knows it.
Well,
I think that's really interesting.
Jose knows when it misses by a little because he swings at stuff that misses by a lot.
Misses by a lot, and somehow is able to make it happen. You know, it's kind of crazy, but yeah, Yainer Diaz is 16 for 26. That's a 61.5%
That's
success
good.
rate. I don't know
That's
where that
good.
sets him amongst the league, but I can't imagine that doesn't have him in probably the top five catchers. Now Vasquez is 48.1, which kind of surprises me because again, having that veteran, those veteran eyes behind the box, you think that he would be able to really catch in and focus in on um,
He was
and be a
really
little bit better in calling those. But he's
he was really
25
bad to
for
start. He was
52.
really bad to start, and then he's gotten better.
Yeah. Yep.
In fact, he was
Yeah, so
terrible to start.
combined, they're 52.6%. So, yeah, interestingly enough, yeah, the Astros hitters 56% success rate, second best in the major leagues. As a defense, the Astros are 49%. But yeah, an offensive run value of 1.8 runs and a defensive run value of negative 1.5. So between Yiner and Christian, they have taken a run and a half off the board with their challenges.
What I find
Interestingly enough,
amazing with the ABS is when um, you look at the amount, the distance in which they hit or they miss on. You know, you look
yeah,
at the umpires, and we've seen it over the years, and we everybody complains about the umpires, but you go look back at some older games and look at the umpires back then, and look what the umpires have been doing over the last several years, knowing that they have the box, knowing there's more scrutiny. MLB has to has to be given a lot of credit for making these umpires be honest. It's no longer my strike zone,
yep.
and
There's
it's
no,
not as much of
it's
a
no longer
guessing game for
arbitrary,
the it's never no longer a guessing game for the batters to come up and say, well, Eric Gregg is the umpire. you know, who knows what's going to be a strike.
right? Yeah,
Do you
exactly.
remember that game against, this was when the Marlins won the first World Series in 97. They were
Hmm.
playing the Braves in the AL or the NLCS. And the last game where the Marlins won to go to the World Series, Eric Gregg, rest in peace, was the umpire. Eric Gregg was, he was not good anyway, but he was literally calling Levon Hernandez's curveballs that were in the other batter's box a strike. And you
Yeah,
listen to the Braves talk about it, it says, God, he was calling out there, and they said Levon could hit a shot glass from 10,000 feet when he threw. So if he's if you're going to throw it out there, if he's going to give it to you out there, Levon's going to keep it out there. And I remember the last the strike three was Fred McGriff, and he threw a ball that was
yeah,
literally in the other. And Fred just looked. He's like, "You have
yeah,
got to be."
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he got censored on that.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you don't see that anymore. I mean,
No, you really don't. The arbitrary, and if I'm honest, I would love to see. I'd like to see more than just two lost challenges per game. Now, I don't think that it needs to be abused by any means, but I think that the two challenges lost, and then you're done for the rest of the game. I think it hands the opportunity back to the ump to be a little bit arbitrary after losing and having a couple of calls maybe overturned or the catcher
what
gets
they
them
do
wrong or the
now
pitcher gets them
is
wrong. But
what they do now is you get a challenge every inning in if you go to extra innings. I would
yeah,
be I'd be completely okay with say let's give them three, and if you go into extra innings, you get one for as long as the extra innings go. This
yep,
thing about giving somebody a challenge every extra inning, sorry guys, that's too much.
yeah, I think so. I agree. It's yeah, I mean, I still don't mind the human element being part of the game, but I still think that there needs to be some accountability.
Yeah, no, I do like the idea with two or three or whatever, that it's not so many that it doesn't get away the game flow.
Yes.
Second is it does keep the third human element, and I have to say the execution of how they do it. Uh, I saw it for the first time a couple of years ago in Las Vegas. We went saw a game of the Las Vegas A's at that time. Blake Snell was pitching for Sacramento, and I saw that, and I was really impressed by how the operation was so smooth and efficient, and it still is. I mean, it's been a great change.
Yeah, I don't mind it. It's quick, it's easy, and it just happens, So it's pretty good.
Coming up tomorrow night for the Astro. Oh, they're playing tomorrow afternoon.
It is a day game. Yep.
It's a day game because the World Cup is in Toronto.
Yep.
Uh, interesting pitching matchup. Peter Lambert against Shane Bieber. Shane Bieber throws his first game of the season. Peter
It
Lambert has
wasn't
just
something that
been,
I thought was going to be coming, but yeah.
Peter Lambert has just been dependable. You just roll him out and you say, this is what I'm going to get.
Yep. Yeah, I think that the Peter Lambert surprise for the Astros. I mean, it's probably saved them during this, whatever we calculated, 17-12 run. Peter Lambert has been a huge piece of that
Yeah,
for
let
the
me
Astros.
let me give you what he's done his last five times out. Against the Cubs, or excuse me, 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, a little heavy on the walk. One thing he could do, and something he's really tightened up on his last two times, his walks, because against Milwaukee, they won. The Astros won 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 walks. He's not a big strikeout guy. Against the A's, 5 1/3, 4 walks, but but 5 hits. So he's really been able to manage traffic well. Lost, there's a game that we lost against the Angels, but he went 6 1/3, 5 hits, no walks, 6 strikeouts. And against the Tigers, he was really good. 7 innings, 2 hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. So he's gonna make him hit the ball. And so if you're going to make him hit the ball, keeping those walks down to a minimum is huge. And that's has been his
Yeah.
biggest. He's pitched around traffic, but really cleaned up the walks. He hadn't walked a guy in 10 innings.
Yeah. Wow. 10 innings. Okay. I
Think
didn't know
about it. I mean,
that.
that's what he
That's
did.
great.
His last two. Yeah, his last two. He went five. He went. Excuse me. 13 1/3. He's at least 13 1/3. And of course, I haven't gone back and checked what he did against the A's to end that up. But he threw 6 1/3 against the Angels, 7 innings against the Tigers, no walks. So
Mm,
over 13 innings without a walk.
yep. Well, we'll kind of see how that plays out tomorrow. It sounds as though maybe the Astros will be without Pena tomorrow. We saw him go out grabbing his leg.
Look like a hammy.
Word is that it was a hamstring cramp. He said it felt better after he walked it off. We wanted to kind of be proactive, and we'll see how it feels tomorrow. Pena said he does not think it's related to his previous hamstring injury.
I wonder
So
if they say, yeah, they might set
we'll
him
have to
tomorrow.
see. They might set him tomorrow. Get him stretched out, hydrate that thing, and hopefully they'll be all right.
But if it's a
In other
cramp,
in other news, oh, sorry, go ahead.
they ought to be able to tell that right away.
Yeah, they should. And he should be able to know. I think if it's a lingering issue or just a cramp. I mean, I
But it
get
was the
hamstring
same
cramps
leg,
all the
right?
time, but I think that's what the concern was, is that it's not. They don't think it's related to his previous hamstring injury, so it had to be the same leg. Yep. In other news around the MLB, former Houston Astro Kyle Tucker left the game tonight with a back spasm. He has a history of them. Isn't expected to
Yep.
get imaging or anything tomorrow. They say they're not concerned, but we'll see what that means because we know Tucker's low back spasm issue was one of those things that he dealt with here. He dealt with here in Houston. So
At least he didn't foul a ball off his leg.
just a shin bruise. Come on, come on.
It's kind of like the old Monty Python. It's just a flesh wound.
It's just a flesh wound. Come
Think
on,
about it
come
though.
on.
Tucker's hitting 234
Yeah.
and 234, and he's got a 707 OPS.
Hmm.
I mean, he's had 6 home runs, 40 RBIs.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's an average. Yeah,
He's not having a good go of it. Yeah. I saw something.
he's an average player.
Yeah. I saw something that somebody posted. They were praising Jim Crane and his inability
Discipline.
and his discipline in not giving away those big contracts. And they just ran through, Tucker, Bregman, Springer, like all these guys, and how much money Crane saved by not signing average players once these guys left the Houston Astros organization. And it is really interesting how so many of these guys played so well for the Astros, went out and signed these massive contracts, and then just really have become, average MLB players.
They gave him an honorary trash can when they left.
Oh man.
Actually, when you look at a guy like Bregman and Tucker, I don't know what's going on with Tucker. Bregman just may be aging early. He's
Possible.
32, 33 years old, something like that. He was good. He started off well for the Red Sox last year, but didn't really finish all that well. Once he got hurt, came back and wasn't near the player that he was before.
No.
The big thing with the Astros, it comes back to what you and I've talked about a lot earlier in the season, where they have fallen off. And it's good that Crane got rid of those contracts. But when they changed, it's my thought that when they changed the approach of the scouting, the comes back. The only two guys you've had come through your system that you drafted were Pena and Brown. Now,
Hunter Brown.
It looks like this last draft turned out. It might be pretty good.
Yeah.
You got Nayans. You've got some guys down at Fayetteville. Some guys have been brought up. Schiavone's come up to AA, and he might have even passed up Walker Janik.
Yeah.
But those guys, the only thing about those guys in Fayetteville is they're 3 years away. And I hope that when we come to the trade deadline, that Dana doesn't get greedy or Crane doesn't get greedy and trade some of those guys for rentals.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so too. I think we've got some time to see how it plays out before that trade deadline. But if Crane decides to go all in, we know that this is a guy that's he's willing to pull out all the stops. And I'm kind of with you on hoping that some of these kind of new and upcomers, I don't know, whatever. Anyway,
but
they just that they don't just kind of blow the farm again on some of these rentals. If they decide to do it, I sure hope that they kind of grab some guys, like another Isaac Paredes type of deal, which are not, obviously you're not going to be trading a piece like Kyle Tucker to pull something like that out. But you've got to get some guys that I think can make an impact and that you're going to have some control over. You can't just wing it again.
But it's a good example of what these guys, when they're down at the lower minors. People, when we traded for Justin Verlander, we traded Gilbert, and we traded Ryan Clifford. Both you and I said, God, I didn't want to. Clifford was the one I didn't want to trade, but Ryan Clifford. Here we are, 3 years down the road, and he's still at AAA, and he's. He's got a chance to make the big team, but it's not like he's going up with a rocket. And when these guys are this far out, and you get a chance to get somebody who's truly good, who's going to stick with you for a few years, you do it, and he If the minor leaguer does great for the other team, well, good for them.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, Drew Gilbert's batting 236 with a 680 OPS over there in San Francisco. So
Yeah, and they
there you go.
stink.
There you go.
Some,
That's a
at,
sad situation out there.
yeah, front office is on the hot seat. Buster's got to be on the hot seat.
I think
Posey's
so.
got to be big time on the hot seat.
Yep. Yep. I think so. All right, man. Well, I think that's going to call it a night for us. Yeah, it wasn't a great game tonight, but we got something to look forward to here for the rest of the week. For Wally, I'm Ryan. Thanks for catching another episode of Dirt Diamond Sports Talk. Let's go, Stros.
Yep.